And welcome back for the final part. And what we'll be doing first is concentrating on the engine. And what I've done so far is to prime it with a black acrylic, and I'm going to be painting it with AK Extreme Metals. Now, I've had a look in the instructions, I've had a look at a few reference pictures, and hopefully I shall get what it's supposed to be. So I've got all the parts, they're all done, all ready to prime. We'll be doing the yellow tips as well on the propellers, and all the other bits and pieces in the different metals. So we can start off with the steel or the aluminium, I believe. Yes, it was the aluminium first of all. So I'll just spray that around. And also I've got the burnt metal as well, which is like has like a gold fleck, as it were. So I'll be popping that over the actual cylinders and all the rest of it. And also, after all that, I'm going to put a flat coat over it so I can use the enamel washes to weather it. So what we do is just popping it in. I haven't got too much left in that one, I know. So literally all I'm going to be doing is using my Iwata Neo, which I only use for metallics now. That used to be my only airbrush. So what I'm doing now, I'm just popping in just a little bit of the paint. You don't need an awful lot, because this paint does go a long way, if you know what I mean, if you use it correctly. And by that, all you're using is very, very thin coats again. And you'll be surprised how much coverage it does actually give you in a very, very short amount of time. So just quickly, just making sure it's coming through, which it is. And we can just literally now just put on a light coat just to begin with. And the good thing about it, you can just see it straight away and it's going on. Now the reason why I put it over a dark or a black primer is it does actually make it slightly a bit more bright and vibrant. Not an awful lot. And if you don't really want to do a black base, then you don't really have to. It's not a written rule. You just go and do what you want. But for the purpose of this exercise, I have. So again, like I've said, it is just very, very light coats. And I'm just giving it a nice second coat now. Just making sure that I get in between all the cylinders. And don't be too bothered about when you're spraying a Mercury engine or an engine like this, that you're getting in between all the cooling strips, because you can just use that as like a shadow. So I'm happy with that. So we can bob that down and we can crack on with the rest of the actual engine. And again, a handy thing, cocktail stick and a bit of blue tack makes a handy stand. So with the engine pretty much complete, all I need to do now is to mask up the actual propeller itself. You can do it one or two ways. You can do it either spraying the yellow on first and then masking it, or what I've done is I've just blasted it with Attacker. Well, I think it was the night black I've used on this one. And after it's dried, and it doesn't take an awful lot of time to dry, that you can just pop it in and mask around it without any issues. So those are the tips. Just got to do one more. And what we'll do is just look on the instructions, and you've also got a yellow strip which goes horizontally across the actual propeller itself, just where I'm pointing there. So we can just do a quick masking job on that one and crack on with it. So with it all masking on, I've not bothered to put a white coat down first. I've gone straight in for the yellow, a golden yellow, which I've used. Again, just making sure that, it's light coats to begin with, and then once you've got that base, then you can carry on with a slighter, thicker coat. And again, you're just making sure that you're covering all the bits and pieces that you need. And once you're happy, you can unmask it. And that's probably one of my favourite jobs, is actually unmasking so you can see what you've got. I say favourite, it is my favourite when it works. If I've completely cocked it up, then that's a different story. Anyway, glad to say on this port is it went rather well. And yeah, happy with that. Cool beans. So yeah. So with everything dry, I can now start to put things together. And what I've done is I'm using that rocket super glue again, and I'm just putting it around the attachment point to put on the front hub, which you can just see there in the black. It's like a starry thing. So again, I don't want to put too much glue on, because I don't want it to seep out, because obviously I've done the metal colour already. And it is a decent attachment point as well. You can just make sure you're popping it on, and there you go, all sorted. Okay, then moving on, just adding a few of the bits and pieces to the actual engine. I do apologise, I don't know exactly what these are, but they're easy to pop together, almost like a tripod, as it were. And for this, they do have some really decent attachment points, which aren't bulky, but once you've put them on, and as long as you're not putting 5 tons of glue on it, they do actually look rather nice. So again, I'm just using super glue and little touches, little splodges just around so you can pop them in. And once they're on, and they fit on really well, they do look the part. So yeah, I'm really happy with that. Just added a bit more detail. So one of the last bits to put on for it are 2 little funnels. Now, again, I do apologise, I don't know what they're for, but literally all I'm going to do is pop the glue at the rear of the actual engine, and you can just pop it up and just stick them in. Again, you've got long enough attachment points, so when you do pop them in, and they go in rather well, as in one's already in, and they attach to one of the tripod thingamabobs, which I've forgotten what they are, and they fit rather well. So all you need to do now is to just let it all dry, let it all cure, and you can go and basically cracking on now with the cowling and attachments for the actual engine itself. So all I've done is I've just attached the front part of the cowling, and I'm just showing you that the actual, yeah, thumbs up Lenny, lovely, that it works. So with the cowling, now this is a 3-part affair. You do have another way of popping it on, which will actually show the actual engine itself. But what I do recommend is you do follow the instructions and making sure you got the right part to the right side. So basically what you can do is I've glued on one part. I'm just going to show you and gluing on the next. And when you're doing a cowling like this, you do expect some form of gap. Well, I was, but when you put it on, hey presto, it fitted like a glove. It really, really does. It's lovely. So once it's popped it on, you have a quick look around, making sure you've got all the actual spaces in. And what I did was I glued it from the rear. And then you just give it a quick pop. It just runs down on the inside. Give it a quick puff, just make sure the glue's going all the way down. And that's all you need to do. And the fit is exceptional. Yeah, thanks, Mom. So again, if there's any parts that you want to just have another pop of glue at, then please do so. And then we can put on the final part of the cowling, which again went on really, really well. So what we've done is we've basically we've primed it and we've painted the sky grey, which is the underneath part, or the part of the actual camouflage scheme. And all we're doing now is we're going over with the dark slate grey, which has almost got like a green tinge to it. So we don't have to do any masking as in for the front part just yet. We can come back to that and actually paint that when we're actually painting it like a copper bronze type colour. So again, all I'm doing is just doing light coats over the cowling as per I've done for the rest of the kit. I did lighten the paint slightly just to give it a bit more of a change in colour. So with that done, all I've done now is I've completely masked up the engine or the cowling, and then we can proceed by using like the copper, which I've got, which is the Tamiya one. There are other things on the market. You can add some brown to it, but just for a bit of, you know, quickness, as it were, I just popped it in the actual colour cup and I went for it. So again, just making sure I've got paint coming out, which it did struggle a little bit because I don't think I actually thinned it well enough. But here we go. And again, I'll say this until the cows come home, nice light coats to begin with. Okay, and once you got that base, then you can go back over it and over it until you're happy that you've got that sort of like coverage that you're after. I was quite surprised actually, because once it's actually going through my airbrush, it went down really well and it's nice and even. And it is like it's an XF, it's not an X from Tamiya, so it has got like a semi-gloss or some form of matte to it as well. But once it was done, I went over the whole thing anyway with the XF86, which is the flat clear, just so I can make sure that nothing was going to go awry when I use the enamel washes and other bits. So all we're finishing off now with the bronze is we're just doing the actual exhausts for it. And again, same as the ones before. Nice light coat. No problems at all. If you can hear that snoring, that's Molly. Molly, wake up. There you go, good girl. So, just finishing off. And again, we can go over it with the acrylic flat base. So yeah, not far to go now. Right then, so what we'll do is we'll just do the actual gun barrels, and I did get some replacements for them, which were the quick boost ones, which the cyclist recommended to me, and they are absolutely excellent. The reason why I did actually change them to the resin ones is that the ones you get in the kit are a bit flimsy, and when I tried to actually clean them up, I broke one of them. Yay, nice one, Lenny. So yeah, and all I'm showing there is the actual covering for the actual guns themselves. So with the guns attached, and all I did was attach the resin using super glue to the actual kit part, and now I'm just showing you that I've put on the arrestor hook as well, and that was a simple affair. 2 holes popped in, job done. And again, what I'm using is the rocket glue, and I've just explained that I've popped the actual gun barrels onto the kit part and onto the actual kit. So what I need to do now is just attach the actual gun covering, and again, they fit really well. And all I did was pop it on, make sure it's actually on properly. There is a certain way you do put them on. And again, it's literally a very, very small dab of Tamiya ICM, and you just let it go, and it glues itself, and it's not a problem. So again, it's all about using glue efficiently, as it were, by using less, if you know what I mean, if that makes any sense. Probably not. But anyway, you don't get any seepage, you don't get any sort of like glue seeping out all over your nice paintwork, and it's all nice and clean. So again, I'm just pushing it down just to make sure that the actual fit is perfect. Just leaving that for a few seconds. And again, more than happy with the result that I've got. So really now it's time to attach the actual engine to the actual kit itself. I have attached the exhaust already, and all I do is make sure you actually put the right one on the right side. I know it sounds silly, but just make sure. So all I'm going to do now is making sure that it does fit on correctly. And again, as I said before, test fit twice, glue once. Now I've already test fitted it and it fits really well. So all I'm going to be doing is just popping super glue around the aperture, and I'm putting a decent solid blob, as it were, all the way around the actual rim of the aperture. So when you get the anchor points, it does properly hang on to it when it's dry, and it ain't going nowhere, which is what you want. You don't want it to fall off. So just popping it on all the way around the edges. Nicely done. And you can see I've been a bit exuberant with the glue, but you're not going to see it, so you've got no dramas there whatsoever. Again, just making sure that you get the actual exhaust pipes in between the legs. Ooh, matron. And yeah, it sits in. Pop it in, give it a bit of a wiggle. And just keep it there for a few seconds, as in the glue sets normally between 10 to 20 seconds. So once that time frame's up, you can pretty much just take it off, and there you go. Just giving it a quick, just making sure it's a wiggle on, and that's it. So all I need to do now is to weather it, and which I've done so. And again, all I've done is, what I will be using, as it were, is the MIG ammo, deep, sea blue, around where the rivets are, and also in and around the actual panel lines themselves. And again, very nicely done. No dramas whatsoever on that one. So yeah, almost there. So all I'm doing now is just using the cotton bud just to take the excess off. And again, with the sea blue, it's like it's an extremely dark blue, but I didn't want anything sort of like stark, like black, as it were. So I've just opted for that. And you can pop it around the actual, where the panel lines are on the cowling, and just around randomly just parts on the actual kit itself. So you can like simulate some dirt, some oil, some grease, or whatever you want on the actual cowling itself. And again, you're just going around. You can use a cotton bud, you can use a paintbrush, whatever you want to use. It's entirely up to you. And again, I'm just finishing off also the weathering on the underneath. So there you go. That is the weathering done and the kit complete. So now really it's over to the final reveal. Yay! There you go. Go on, have a quick look at the engine. There you go. I'm really happy with that. Really, really nice. You can tell Molly enjoyed it, can't you? Yeah. So, there you go, guys. On to the final reveal. Right, there you go. She's done, finished, and all the rest of it. So, what I normally do is I'll go through a couple of bits and pieces, just as a reminder of what I've done. So, to begin with, we'll go with the build. And the actual build-wise was absolutely awesome. It was really, really good. The only points to note is the underplace wing. When you're attaching it to the fuselage, just make sure you put enough pressure onto the set or onto the wings themselves, so they glue sort of like evenly onto the fuselage. But apart from that, you know, that was the only thing. There was no sort of like problems with the engine, the cowling, that went on like a dream. Everything about this kit, build wise, is stunning. It really, really is, and it is an absolute credit to ICM. Okay, just to mention the cockpit as well, that went together really well. Nicely detailed. I did put in the Edard seat belts for the Mark II. Just that I thought, you know, it needed a bit more tightening up, and it didn't actually come with anything along them lines for the seat. But multi-part affair when you're looking at the cockpit, and overall it was again an excellent fit. Even the side doors, which are there and on the opposite side, they went together really, really nice. No issues, no gaps, and yeah, really, really nice. Same with the tail as well. That went together quite well. You can offset the rudder very, very slightly, and also you can do the actual horizontal, the elevators as it were. And also when you're looking at the ailerons on the wing, you can actually again offset them only just slightly, but it gives you a bit more of a feeling of animation to the actual kit itself. Paint wise, all we did was did the priming in Tamiya, like a dark grey, and then I went on to use Hataka lacquer paints, which is their Fleet Air Arm particular set, the dark slate grey and the dark sea grey, and the sky grey sides, as well as the underneath. They went down really well. I free-handed the camouflage scheme as shown on previous video, and again when we're looking at the weathering, I used slight bleaching of the paint through the use of the paint, as in I lightened it with some, I think it was medium grey, I think it was, just to break up the monotony of the two greys, and then proceeded to use MIG products for the actual weathering, as in on top of the wings and the fuselage. Again, what I used was the Panelline wash, and used the brown, and on the dark sea blue, was it dark sea blue? Yes, it was dark sea blue. Ran to the panel lines and just used various amounts of colours of the oil brush and blended those into the wings and to the fuselage. I'll just have to make a special mention for the engine as well. It is a little gem, it really is, and it sort of like builds up really, really nicely. You got all the parts for the Mercury in there. Of course you could put some extra bits and pieces like the wiring or the ignition fuses or whatever it is that you want to pop in there, but straight out of the box, you can't complain with that. You really can't. The propeller, spit it out, that still spins around really nicely, but again the cowling, the fit is brilliant. It really is. You're not going to have any issues there at all. Okay, so yeah, nicely done. Right, just to summarise then, it's an excellent kit. It really is. If you're into biplanes and you like the Gladiator, then by all means go and get this kit. It really, really is a nice one. I am looking forward to building the Tiger Moth that ICM brought out, and also the Bouchon, the German trainer, amongst other things. So yeah, that is two on my list that I want to do, and plus ICM have really, really come out now and they are producing some fantastic kits. So guys, if you want a Gladiator in 1/32 scale, this is the kit for you. Okay, bro. So my name is Lenny, you've been watching R.T.B models in association with Frontline Model Hobbies Limited. And on behalf of all of us, thank you very much for watching, and we will catch you on the next video. So keep safe, happy modelling, ta-ra for now.